Hi, my name's Phil. I like to talk about politics. In this video, I'd like to talk about Boris Johnson's threat to go on strike. Yes, you heard that right. A far-right Tory MP is advocating strike action. I'm assuming that his union has balloted members so as not to fall foul of the law on that one. But first, if you find yourself enjoying the video, then please click the like button and subscribe to the channel. So this latest noise from 10 Downing Street is because the Prime Minister has had to say that we're not leaving the EU on October the 31st. The end of the month is now just going to be Halloween, and I'll be spending it, as usual, by pretending to be out. I imagine that Boris Johnson this year will be doing likewise. He's pulled the plug on the waste of £100 million of public money, advertising that we're leaving the EU at the end of the month. You know, the advertising campaign that told people to get ready, but didn't actually tell them what they needed to do in order to be ready. And so Johnson's team have had to create a lot of noise in order to distract people from the fact that we aren't leaving the EU at the end of the month, that Boris Johnson isn't in a ditch, and that there are only two conclusions that may be drawn. One, Boris Johnson does not do what he promises. Or two, Boris Johnson is not capable of doing what he promises. Neither of these are great conclusions to draw for a Prime Minister who wants to win a majority in a general election. A general election that he also hasn't got the power to deliver without his main opposition helping out. So what would this strike action involve? Well, Boris Johnson has already said that he will refuse to put any business before the House now until after a general election. This includes his precious withdrawal agreement bill. Now, this is something that could have been passed by Parliament within a month and we'd still be leaving the EU before Christmas. But if Johnson doesn't put his bill up for debates and voting, then it's going nowhere. Sajid Javid, the Chancellor, has also cancelled the budget that was announced for the 6th of November, which itself was a delay. It was supposed to be happening this month. Now, this is an odd one. I have to be honest and say I don't quite know the consequences of this, as I haven't seen it being discussed by people who understand the implications yet. So I'm going to read from that, unless I've just not been able to find them, that it can't be that serious at this point. Now, I know people might be thinking in terms of the United States, where presidents sometimes refuse to sign off on a budget in a wrangle with the House of Representatives. But the idea of a shutdown like that in the UK, where people are sent home without pay, or even worse, certain people are made to come into work without pay, would not happen. I have no idea why people in America stand for it, but people in the UK would absolutely not. It would be an act of political suicide were it even possible. I'm not even sure it's legally possible, but it would be an act of political suicide for Boris Johnson to force this to happen and then want to go to the polls in a general election. But again, we're into unprecedented territory here. Budgets have sometimes had difficulty getting through Parliament when you have a weakened government, but I am not aware of a situation where the government itself has blocked a budget. That's a new one on me. But this is what Boris Johnson does. He's like a toddler throwing a tantrum when they can't get their own way. All he knows how to do is to bully. He isn't that smart. He's politically naive and utterly incompetent. He just knows how to intimidate people, and so he lashes out when he can't get his own way. Tales abound of the genuine fear he instills in others when he goes into a rage. It came to the fore again a few months ago when police had to be called to his mistress's home after shouting and banging was heard by the neighbours. He did this again when the court slapped him down. He incited violence, leading to attacks on MPs and their staff. He's now doing so again by threatening to stop the work of government. But if the government really did go on strike, like really went on strike, wouldn't that be fantastic? As Brexit Bin on Twitter said, better no government than a bad government, in parody of the last Conservative manifesto pledge on Brexit. But if the government were on strike, well, surely that would mean that Tory MPs would have no whipping for votes. The cabinet ministers themselves would not be attending Parliament. That would mean that Labour could introduce a motion for a second referendum. Tory MPs who wanted either to remain or to leave with a deal could safely vote in favour of it because, well, the leadership wouldn't be there to tell them to block it. It would sail through and finally be able to get Brexit done one way or another. Fantastic. But of course he's not actually going on strike. That is to say, all he's actually doing is distracting from his failure to deliver the Brexit that he promised to all his supporters. It's like shining a laser on a wall to distract your cat who's about to crap in your shoes. It's just a desperate act. It was just another ploy to try and drive through his bill without proper scrutiny. I'll give you more time, he said, if you agree to this snap election. But it wasn't really more time. He intends, so he says, to dissolve Parliament on November the 6th. A few extra days is not really helping. It needs a month, or don't bother at all. But it wasn't really more time. As I say, he just wanted to get this thing through, bounce through Parliament without proper scrutiny and without any amendments going in. So it would appear that this ploy will fail as well, as his previous ones have, because Labour have said they're going to abstain at least from that vote on Monday, which is enough to sink it. And he will behave extremely badly in retribution. He's got form on it. We know he's going to do this. This is why, although there's political capital, by keeping Boris Johnson trapped in number 10, his impotence on show for everyone to see, and with the belief that people will eventually get sick of this pointless Prime Minister and his bluster, there is also a danger. Boris Johnson has no shame or thought for others. It would be much better to replace him and then just issue another referendum before a general election. There was a meeting between senior members of the Conservative Party and the Labour Party where Boris Johnson, Jeremy Corbyn and Dominic Cummings were present. And reports indicate that when Labour were trying to discuss a timetable, a new timetable for the withdrawal bill, Dominic Cummings banged his fist on the table and said, no, we want a general election. That's all they're focused on at the moment. They don't care about the bill, they want the general election. Last night, Jeremy Corbyn is reported to have said that he's turning down the election request until no deal has been taken off the table. But the only way to do that is to issue another referendum, with the actual choices clear and written down this time, which they would be because the withdrawal agreement is available. But he doesn't seem to be moving that way. So who knows when a general election will eventually come. But anyway, I hope you found the video interesting. If you'd like to support the channel further, then please click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.